Evening, how you guys doing? Listen, I know I'm new. This channel is just something I'm getting up off the ground. Just trying to talk about life experiences, where you are in your life, where you are in your journey. Are you deep into it? Have you had to hit the reset button multiple times? We all do that. Listen, nothing works out fantastic forever. Only thing I can tell you is you got to keep pushing forward, right? There's going to be moments when things are going to get really tough, when you're not going to see a way out. You're going to be fear is going to dominate, right? Sometimes fear does that, right? I mean, we're afraid of success, and by afraid of success, that's also afraid of failure, right? That you're going to fail. So you prefer to stay stagnant. There's an old saying, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know, right? So essentially what that's saying is you might be in a situation right now that's not ideal, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a job where you're not happy at, or a relationship that's really stagnant, whatever the case might be, a stage in your life, whether it's job, love related, um, where you feel stagnant, you feel like you're not making any progress. But even though you know that you're not getting where you're in muddy waters, you're flip flopping along and you're not getting anywhere, and you can't see the light of day, and everything's a constant struggle, right? And then you start to think about the future, right? And then you get a bit of like an idea about moving forward, about possibly, sorry guys, my screen is really not bright at all. There we go. So please forgive me, apologies on that one. And that's when fear comes in, right? Fear is ego based. You guys know that, right? Fear is ego based. It's our ego's job to protect us. But the problem with the ego is sometimes it limits you, right? Ego limits. It might protect you, in certain situations, but really, what it does is it limits you, right? It limits your capacity to be able to look beyond, your surroundings and know that there's something better out there, right? So the ego essentially keeps you in a state of security by keeping you in the known, right? Keeping you in the familiar. The familiar is our current surroundings. We might not like them, but guess what? We're familiar. We're used to them. We might be at a job that we really don't like, that we know we're not getting anywhere, where we're getting underpaid or we're not treated well, and but it's familiar, right? It's known territory. So when it's known territory, then we're okay with it. We suffer through it because that's the devil you know. Now the future, the better opportunities are the great unknown, right? So the great unknown is actually scary, right? And fear really kicks in, and the ego really kicks in, right? You want something better. You know that there's better out there, but you're afraid, right? I mean, you are not willing to suffer with the unknown, but yet you are willing to suffer the known. You're willing to suffer in the known entity of what your present is, as opposed to suffer and be a little uncomfortable for an unknown future that might actually be better. That future, that door that you're afraid to open, that might lead you to greener pastures, right? That might have everything that you've dreamed about, all your goals and aspirations. But sometimes that ego, that fear, the ego based fear keeps you stagnant. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you in jobs that you don't want. It keeps you in situations that you don't want. You don't want to, you're afraid to leave a job because, well, what if this other job fails? What if it's not as good? What if what if they fire me? What if they don't like me? What if I don't perform up to capacity? That is all ego based fear, right? So you're projecting your fear onto your futures of the unknown, as opposed to being open-minded. I mean, do you guys remember when you were kids, right? And that's the problem with getting older, right? As we get older, the ego gets worse, right? It puts you in more. It gets a vice grip on that fear, right? It grips harder, right? No, you can't do this. Like you're gonna fail. You get that little inner voice inside of you telling you not to do it. And that's ego based fear. But when you're younger, you remember. Like if you liked a girl when you were younger, right, and you approached her, you didn't have any fear. I mean, if she said no, hell, she said no. If she said yes, great, right? But now we're so afraid of failure, you're so afraid to fail that you're afraid to succeed, right? And that is where the mastery of, like, just thinking outside of yourself, like, quit letting ego be in the front seat driving the car, right? Don't let ego drive your life. Don't let ego drive your car, for lack of a better word. Forgive the analogy, but it's like ego's in the driver's seat and you're beside him in the passenger seat watching, and you seem to have no choice because the ego is, making all the choices for you, right? It's time to kick that ego's ass to the back seat, and you get on the driver's seat and you take control of the wheel, right? You take control of your life. Listen, at any point in your life that you were scared of something, you managed to do it and you succeeded. But for some reason, we forget all those success that we've had, right? We forget all those experiences where we have succeeded, where we have moved forward, where we have gained something, right? And instead of celebrating those victories, we instead focus on the failures, and how bad it felt. So you focus on the negativity of a failed experience instead of the positivity that a positive experience got you, that a victory got you, right? So when we don't celebrate our victories and instead we focus on our failures, you're going to be stagnant. You're not going to move forward. You're going to be afraid of the unknown, like, that door that's there, that's calling you, that you want to walk through, but yet fear keeps you frozen. It keeps you in this room. It keeps you away from going through that door because of, well, what if I fail? What if this? What if it's not, That's life, right? Life is one big gamble, right? Every time you walk out the door, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen to you on your way to work. I mean, not to get negative and not to get completely like over the top, exaggerated. You could die. You could get hit by a car. You could like get into an accident. Anything could happen. But guess what? We are human beings. We are mortal. We deal with the possibility of death all the time. But do we think it? Do we think about it all the time? Do we go at that door when you get behind the wheel of a car to go to work? Do you think, oh my God, I could die? No. When you go on the highway, when you go on a road trip, when you take a plane somewhere, are you constantly thinking, oh my God, what if we crash? What are we going to do? No, you're not, because we're brave, right? We are brave. We are meant to succeed. We're meant to thrive. We're meant to experience life and grow. But guess what? We allow that fear to freaking keep us stuck, right? When as human beings, we are courageous. We are mortal beings, and we're out there every day living our lives, even though somewhere deep in your psyche, you know that there's a possibility that something could happen to you, but we don't think like that, right? Because if we thought about dying every time we'd go anywhere, we'd be freaking stuck in our houses 24/7, not going out the door, not doing anything, not experiencing life, not experiencing driving a car, not experiencing taking a flight, learning to swim, being on a boat, being whatever the case might be, right? I taught myself to drive a motorcycle at an older age, guys. I was like 40 years old. And I was scared as shit, But I remember riding a bike and like learning and how scared I was to ride a bike. Same analogy. I was afraid, right? But you know what? You do it and you keep trying and you keep trying until you succeed, right? So all I wanted to talk about tonight was don't let fear control your life. Do not let fear make decisions for you, right? Step out of your comfort zone. The unknown is the unknown, but so what? Everything in our life, any new experience is unknown, but we do it and we fight through it. Okay, so just remember, guys, whenever you are stagnant and you are afraid to take a step forward, remember all the times when your younger self was scared and you didn't have that experience, but you know what? You still pushed ahead. You still went through it. And failure is not failure. Failure leads to success. Every time you fail is a step forward to success. Just remember that, okay? Please like, share, subscribe, leave me comments. I know I'm new to this, you guys. I'm trying my best to speak from experience, from advice. And there's a lot of advice out there, guys, okay? So thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.